Hello and welcome back to my channel. First of all, I cannot believe I have to make this type of video in 2025. What is worse is the subject of this video. Governor Greg Abbott of Texas has a disability himself. I would get it if he didn't have a disability. However, he is a part of the largest minority in the United States who had to fight so he can sit in that governor's house, and yet he is a bigot. While I currently live in Pennsylvania instead of Texas, disability rights advocate Nikki Boyd has called Texas home. Before sharing Nikki's message, I'd like to explain why this discussion is important. Governor Abbott's policies have greatly affected people with disabilities, and many advocates believe his actions conflict with the values of inclusion and accessibility we have long championed. Now, let's hear Nikki's thoughts on Governor Abbott.
My name, Nikki Boyd. I live. I just moved from Texas about 3 years ago to North Carolina, but I grew up in Texas. Lived in Austin since 1996. My experience about Greg Abbott. Well, with Texas Adapt, they're still trying many times over decades to meet with Abbott, and he's a disabled person. But we were doing an action specifically one time, and the blocks are pretty big in Austin. They're big blocks, and so they were all at the front, but there was a cop in the alley, and so something kind of told me, to hang around there. So I did, just kind of lingered. But it was some really steep steps, and I mean, like steep, like even for an able body or whatever. And so we were like, no way is he gonna, he'll have to come out this way and we'll get him there. And over time, I started noticing this police officer's body language start to change. And, he pulled the car up a little more. And I had already bugged him enough. We kind of became friends. And this was hours. I mean, we were there because he was doing ironically, a book signing for his disability and how he's done better for himself and all that. So that was pretty ironic, also. And we were not allowed in there for the book signing. Um, yeah, I know, right? And so, yeah, all of a sudden I was sitting there talking to the police officer, and he said, "Hold on." And luckily, he was really nice. But before I know it happened so fast, he next thing I know, a car backed up on the other side of the alley. His wheelchair came up the stairs. I started hollering for the other group, but they couldn't hear me. And his wheelchair got thrown in the trunk. It was already, so he keeps it as minimum. I don't know if you know this, but he doesn't use foot pedals. He uses the minimum. And the reason why what he has is he has magnets that he wears on his braces, so his legs stick to the wheelchair, so he doesn't have to use foot pedals. So that's very much, yeah, it's an illusion. I guess he thinks he would rather be floating than in a wheelchair. I don't know. I don't get it, dude. So, so yeah, it wasn't like it was even a full manual wheelchair. He's got low back, full upper body, but, totally paralyzed, 100%. So he uses those braces with the magnet. But yeah, so they threw his wheelchair in the car, and the next thing I know, I saw him with his arm wrapped around the guy's, neck, and he was carrying him and put him in the car. No seatbelt. I was screaming, "Traitor, traitor!" And you need to meet with the disability community, any disability community. I mean, preferably a dad, but any. So he has not met with. And I do know he's met with some able bodies that represent the disability community, or you know how that goes, but are not disabled themselves. Yeah, so yeah, he zoomed off in the car. They did not have a seatbelt on him. They literally just threw him in the car.
That clip about getting in the car without acknowledging a DAP's biggest red flag that this dude is not on the right side of history. So yeah, Abott just ghosted a DAP of taxes. I have zero respect for anybody that ghosts their own community, and to make it seem he is less disabled. I did not have respect for Christopher Reeves. When you are a part of a marginalized group already, what are you showing by marginalizing other people? You are saying that it is okay to take this group's rights away as long as you do not come for mine. Eventually they will come for you. We saw that during the Holocaust. People did not speak up until it was too late. Until they were the ones being loaded onto boxcars and being shipped off to the concentration camp. Who is going to speak up for you when nobody is left? We are not in the times of FDR, where we hit who we are. FDR went through great lengths to hide his disability because people would not accept a disabled president, and it was sad. I remember going to the unveiling of the FDR statue in 2001 and listening to how impressive and inspiring it was to see him in his regular form, and it was. Because back in the 1930s and 40s, disability rights groups were unheard of, and the African Americans community were just beginning to demand their civil rights. Now it doesn't matter whether you can or can't walk. At some point, people like Abbott will have to realize they are wrong to judge others for who they are or who they love. I am not sure if he uses personal care services, but if he does, he better rethink his position before he loses people. One thing I learned from life is we are all interconnected even if we don't have a disability. We all need each other, and we can differ on small issues like how to pay for a new road or where to build a new airport. But we have to come together on equality, freedom, and independence. We need to say no to bigotry, no to hate, and no to violence. Who cares if two people of the same sex sleep together? It does not affect them. Or having a rainbow sidewalk. However, they do not get is when they see another group's civil rights under attack, they say, well, it will not happen to me. I am safe. They are doing it to them because they are living outside the quote-unquote norms of society. Some might even have a Claude Frollo complex, where they think they're superior than everybody else only to find out they are not. Sometimes that inflated head needs to be popped. The idea that I'm holier than thou is not a good idea to have. Sure, you are safe. That is what happened in the Holocaust. First, they came for the disability community, then the Jewish people, then the LGBTQ, then the Gypsies. The Nazis wouldn't have stopped with Europe. They wanted the entire world. That is what Abbott and other Republicans do not seem to understand. This is not about a flag, a crosswalk, a sticker. It is about human rights. It is about his right as a person with a disability to simply exist. They love to quote Leviticus, a book that none of us actually follow, but somehow forget about John chapter 3 verse 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, so that whoever believes in him will not perish but have eternal life. They love to dig into the Old Testament but not the New, and it's not even the original text. There was a worker who came to my house, and she was dark-skinned. She came to my dorm room in California, but because of the Klan, she felt uncomfortable going down to New Freeport. My point is, if you support racism and bigotry, nobody will want to work for you, whether it is professionally or helping you with your activities of daily living. Nobody will work for you, and I do not care who you are or what party affiliation you are. We might have evolved from President Franklin Roosevelt and have several people with disabilities in government, but before party affiliation, they are a person with a disability. We need leaders that lead, not use their power to bully others into submission. We need to get back to the consistent that black kid deserves the same treatment as that white kid, or transgender, or gay, or whatever. Because at the end of the day, it is time to get back to the understanding that we are humans first, and we all have human rights. I still can't believe that there was a text going to children about becoming slaves in 2024. Are we better than that? When will we become the nation that is great? Because right now I don't see it.
Oh.
Like I said in the beginning, I don't like to make these types of videos where I have to put someone down, but sometimes they need it. Anyway, please like, share, and subscribe. I would like to say a special thank you to Nikki Boyd of Adapt for sharing her insights. I will see you soon.